Should Tottenham Hotspur sack Conte or should he stay? Explosive stuff in North London and not in Arsenal, because Arsenal everything is peachy so far. Antonio Conte with some insane remarks. I mean, wow. I have seen managerial meltdowns, but this was calling out the players and calling out the club, calling out the history of the club as well. That is really next level, man. So, I mean, I think like you mentioned earlier, he's pretty much 1 foot out the door.
Right now, the rumors are flying in that they are working out a payment plan for him to leave or quit or be sacked, whatever that means. The other rumor being Ryan Mason being considered as an interim, or maybe Levy wants Ryan Mason to challenge for the managerial post come the summer, but just have an assistant coach to like look over the last few games. I think if they do it right now, they consider the season to be over. It might also halt their top four plans. They have a squad that can still somehow achieve top four, although it will be rough because other teams are also quite as competitive. But if they sack Conte right now, I think it just shows that they have lost all sense of logic and understanding, and it will definitely not yield in a top four. I am not sure any interim manager can just spin a web at this point in time to get that side up and running. And to the fact, Hoiberg came out with his own interview where he's like, "Yes, I understand Conte's frustration. I understand the manager was clear, but we expect the manager to be clear with us." And now I'm left wondering whether is Conte even talking to his players, because for his player to come out and say that, that means your expectations have been mismanaged and you both haven't seen eye to eye for a while.
Well, that was the thing, right? Because when he came out in the interview, that was the first time the players actually heard him say those things. It's not like he had time with the players after the match in the dressing room. The first time the players actually heard him complain was in that interview. So it has to be really jarring as a player to hear your like it's almost like your best friend finding out from somebody else that you said something wrong about them, right? And it's so weird the situation is like, and that's what I feel like Conte should definitely leave, is because the dressing room is just so fractured right now from the way things stand. Because Conte was also like, he's been holding on to this for a long time. It's not like he thought of this in the moment. He's been holding on to this for a while, which is, again, when players come to know about something like that, how do you fix that relationship, especially with only just 10 games left in the season? Of course, he does not have a contract renewal in place either. So we don't know. I mean, he was always going to leave anyway. So then does it make sense to hold on to him for 10 more games? If he's going to leave at the end of that period anyway, might as well save the club's relationship with the players and just get rid of this sort of toxicity in the club. As for the top four, I feel like it will have to be a big signing. It'll have to be like an impact signing that they need. But rumors are abounding that they might go back to a certain Mauricio Pochettino. In which case, I think it might actually be a smart move to hire him in the interim, because he still knows a lot of the players. He still knows the spine of that Tottenham Hotspur, and it might just be enough to bolster them to get into that top four position. And then maybe you reassess and see, okay, maybe is Pochettino the good person for the long term as well or not? But I feel like if they get somebody like Pochettino, or more specifically, if they do get exactly Pochettino, that might actually give them a shot at top four. Because right now, I think Liverpool are still struggling. Chelsea are far away from it. The only real clubs in contention are Brighton and Newcastle, and both of them have fairly tricky runs going through the end of the season. So I feel like it's going to be a really tricky and bold move on Spurs' part. But if they manage to pull this off, I think they still have a shot at top four, and they might still have a shot at keeping Harry Kane. Because from everything I've heard so far, if Conte goes out, Harry Kane follows him out.
I think Kane certainly leaves end of the summer, or rather end of the season, actually. He doesn't see a project right now. And maybe it's 3 seasons too late, but better late than never is what I think. And I think he still has 3 more years to give. Could easily go to some big side and maybe net a Premier League title or some trophy so that there is something to show for at the end of at the end of his career. Conte, my point being, right now, if you sack him, the next 2 or 3 games are just going to be a wash. I don't think there is anyone getting anything in. They need to utilize this window quite efficiently. So it could either be, if they want to sack him, it should not be on March 31st with a game on April 1st.
It should not be
You don't
before a
do
cup
that.
final
Yeah,
like they did for Mourinho.
yeah. You don't do that. You don't do that. I just want to reiterate one small point. The players coming out and saying that they don't understand is something that I can't agree with, because as a player you reflect on your own performances. Let's say that you might not look at every game, but if you look at periods of time where you've been high, where you've been low, you need to understand that there is something that's happening, and maybe you're also a part of it because you are what goes on the pitch and you contribute to the team's success more than the coach, manager, the staff, the owner, the fans. You contribute the most. So I think that statement by Hoiberg was zero introspection. So let me save some slack for Conte in that regard. Apart from that, I have no other words.
Yeah, I mean, good point there. Like it's not all on the managers, but when a manager says something like that, as we saw with Scott Parker early on with the Bournemouth, when you say stuff like that, it's hard for you to stay around at that club. Let us know what you guys think. Is Conte still going to be in a job at the end of the international break, or are we going to try and see an interim manager to see this season through for Tottenham Hotspur? As always, please like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you guys next time.